Good evening. Welcome to another exciting adventure at Bobe's Hobby House. I have as a special guest tonight Bob Waltman, and Bob is famous this week for a number of things. Congratulations on the marriage.
Thanks.
Congratulations on the win at the National International Plastic Model Contest. And we have here tonight not only the guy that built the model, but the model that won the contest.
Yep, this is it. This right here.
Okay. Bob, we've talked about this kind of thing once before. This is all made from plastic model stuff.
Right.
What'd you do here? This didn't come as a kit.
No, well, the walker right here is a kit. It's basically out of the box. It's a Japanese kit called Nido.
Mm-hmm.
And the tank itself, all it is just parts out of the parts box there. It's got several tanks in it, several airplanes, just whatever parts I could find, and just put them together where it looked right.
Okay, so what you're encouraging by this kind of thing is, when you say the parts box, you take all the parts that are left over,
yeah,
and you make something out of it.
Well, sometimes you get kits that either you, one, don't want to build, or two, have extra parts in case you want to change the, let's say, aircraft or tank that you're building to a different variant. And all
These are things that well-meaning relatives give you that you really didn't know what to do
Right,
with.
yeah, just some of the things you get and you go, yeah, I'll never build this, and just set it off to the side.
Okay.
And then you find one day you just want to build something, use your imagination, and just go for it.
There's a lot of precedence for this. In the Star Wars films, the first time I was aware, there's some tanks on those spaceships. And after having someone point that out to me, I could actually see some of the tank parts on the spaceships there. But this is kind of neat.
People like these because at the contest I took it to, at the national contest in St. Louis, when I was talking to one of the judges, he said that they lost count at about 14 different kits. And I've never really counted how many I have in there. But
parts from 14 different models?
Well, like you can tell, of course, the top here is a tank turret. This is off an aircraft, this piece right here. This part right here is a radar off an aircraft. This is a German anti-aircraft gun in the back, and there's just...
Okay, here we are on the screen. What are we... Well, this is looking at it right head on.
Right.
And you can see the radar antenna on the top of it?
Right here is the radar antenna out of an F-14 aircraft. If you see right over here is just a rocket pod, a 1/48 scale rocket pod. And if you start looking at it, there's smaller bits and pieces of different aircraft. Or just some of them you can recognize, but the bigger ones.
You just kind of mix those together? Is there any order to do it? What do you just try to fill in all the blank spaces, or?
What you do is you just start with a basic kit. Like I got two hulls right here, and then the turret. Then I just start adding things on. I'll just test fit them. I'll put them on. And if they look right, I'll glue them down. If not, I'll just keep trying different pieces until it looks right to me. Like I said, all it is imagination.
Okay, this is, because it's an imagination thing, you don't have the critics that can tell you, hey, they never did it like that, right? This is future stuff. So that makes it easy. Although I've been amazed how many space experts there are from the Star Trek series and from the Star Wars and those kind of things.
Yeah, that's why I stay away from something they can have reference to.
Yeah, okay. So this is, can we turn this around a little bit? Would that be kind of neat? I notice on one edge there you've got kind of a tar pit looking affair.
Let's see if we can move this out of the way.
Yeah. This is on you've kind of framed it up and finished it off with a picture frame?
Right. Just a standard 11 by 14 frame.
So that gives you a nice polished edge. And how much time, I wasn't going to ask you that. How much time is involved in something like that?
Yeah, this is one thing I hope you wouldn't ask. It's only took a week to build. But then again...
No, you must have done some of it ahead of time.
Part of the tank was done ahead of time, but the figures, the groundwork, and the walker was done in a week. But then again, you're building something with no reference material, so you can just build it, put it together as quick as you can, and paint it, and there you got something. You don't have to worry about whether you got it right or not.
Looks like who are the guys on the corner here? These are some of the figures.
Yeah, it's just one of the soldiers. They're all looking off in a general area like that.
Okay, and then the bushy things, I think, came out of the craft department. That's some kind of flower stuff?
Yeah, I found that in the back of your store there, just sitting there. And
Yeah.
got some
Needed a home. It looks spacey.
I think they're called bunny tails or something like that.
I would call them bunny tails. That's all right. And the guy, is that a figure from any particular kit?
That's from the a company called AEF. They brought out the alien figures.
Ah, yeah.
And what it is I've taken those along with modern military figures, and the heads that are on these figures themselves come from a toy called Sky Raiders. It's a series of toys. It's just all you do is just go
Mix
through.
them up. So you got body parts from different people.
Oh yeah.
And put them all together, and here we go. Here's a tank-looking thing crunching through the shrubs. That looks bigger on television like that. That's really neat. You've got some nice highlights on the edges there. That's what kind of technique are you doing to bring those up?
What I've done there is, after I've painted it basic black, and then I've taken oil paint with a wide sable brush and dipped it in there and brushed it off on a towel or something to get most of the paint off. It's called dry brushing is the technique. And what you do is you just go over the vehicle real lightly, and it picks up all the detail, all the sharp edges. And it gives it a weathered look.
Nicely done. The kits do have quite a lot of detail, and it's a neat way to bring them out. Now, here we're up in the turret area. What detail should we be alert to here?
Basically, there's nothing that you can really point out. The turret itself, and then you got the commander up here is pointing with all the other figures, like there's some unseen danger out of the scene.
Off stage,
yeah.
Right. That's really slick. Bob, how long have you been building plastic models?
It's been now about 10 years.
And you started off with some basic, do you remember what the first thing was you did?
Oh, not really. I know it was a car, but I'm not sure what kind it was. My aunt bought it for me, and that kind of started it. From there, she's the one to blame. So.
Okay. Do you have an age that you would recommend as this is the age you should start building models?
Not really an age. The only thing I would recommend is to start with something easy, and don't expect, you know, even with me now building a big project, if it doesn't come out like I want it to, I don't get discouraged. I just set it off to the side and start on something else. But I would start on something small, even a snap-together kit. In one of my scenes that I put together, a German scene, I have a snap-together kit in it.
So those are not just kids' toys
no.
to snap together?
I would just start with something simple, and just, there's books out that will teach you your techniques, or you'll learn them on your own.
Yeah, I brought a bunch of books down tonight. Again, now this is one of those Bobe's Hobby House things. We could have been a bookstore in a lot of respects. These are a few of the books dealing with the kind of things that Bob's talking about here. We encourage people to come down and look at the books. It's part of the hobby. A lot of people have built models, but I think a lot of people have not been aware. You find the old-timers that say, well, ever since they've gone to plastic models, you just shake the box and put on some glue, and this is what comes out, and that's really not the case.
No, not anymore.
To begin with, the models have an incredible number of parts, some that I find really overwhelming on occasion. In fact, I'm getting to a point now as I put my close-up glasses on that I'd like to have fewer parts, but it's not a shake up the box, and the thing that enhances the whole thing is building the dioramas that you've done. This makes an excellent way to display the model.
The big thing I would tell someone, though, is don't go out and buy an overly expensive kit. Start with something, you know, whatever's cheap to you, you know, $10 or $15, build it and just practice, because I mean, you've got kits out there that can range from the $50 up to the $200-300 range.
Yep, sure do.
But you wouldn't want to buy something $200 and find
well,
out you
this
can't
is
do
something that I find, and grandparents are probably the worst ones in the world. They'll come in and want to dazzle the grandkid with a really big, impressive, expensive box, and when you give a really high-tech model to a 7- or 8-year-old that's never built a model before, the chance of being successful with that is pretty remote. In fact, more likely you'll frustrate the dickens out of the kid. So start with something easy. We've got folks in the shops that can help you pick out things that'll suit your personal taste and your skill level. but always try to build something better. Now, you started going to contests. How long have you been going to contests?
I started in '88, early part of '88.
Okay, and would you recommend that?
I would recommend it not so much as from the competitive point of view, but just the people that you meet, the things that you learn, the models that you see. And that's where a lot of my techniques come from, just talking to other people, giving them ideas, me.
You can learn so much. You know, this is something, being in the business as long as I've been there, a lot of times I felt like, well, I've got this technique stuff down pretty well. And the next day somebody will walk in with something, well, I'd never heard of using that before.
Right.
So there are constantly new materials, new techniques, and the competition, like you said, the other people who are at the events, you can learn a lot from them. If you see something you like, ask them how they did it. These guys like to talk about this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we've got, speaking of that kind of an event, we've got the Pensacola Interstate Fair. Bobe's Hobby House sponsors the model contest out there. We expect to have entry forms on the shelf this week, certainly by this Saturday. There are two divisions on there. One is a junior division, 16 and under, and the senior division is 17 and older. There is no upper age limit. And we've had a variety of ages that range from about, I think we've had some as young as 4 or 5 years old, and some people that were in their at least 70s in the competition. So age isn't really the criteria either. We accidentally one year had a youngster that was mistakenly put into the adult class, and he won a third prize. So age is not the criteria.
No.
You have some other models here. We're going to talk about those in a little bit. These are insides of models. You've got an ejection seat there that's okay, we're right in the middle of that. Okay, here we go. What are we looking at here?
Here we have a Israeli M60. What you see on the front, the white part of it there, is called a ramp-to mine plow. It's just used to push mines out of the way while it's going through the desert. That is made out of sheet plastic, and if they can see the black dots there, what that is called Grant Line nuts and bolts. It's a model railroad
So those actually simulate the nuts and bolts.
Yeah, they come in various sizes, and you can get them from rivets to nuts and bolts.
Okay, when you're talking about sheet styrene, that's just pieces of flat plastic that you've cut into those shapes and glued up.
Right. It's best, though, if you're going to do something like this, to make a rough sketch, even try to draw out what you're doing to scale. That way you can draw it out on paper and then use that to go over on the plastic. Because if not, you can waste a lot of plastic.
This brings up another thing that I've noticed in a lot of the modelers. You do artwork also.
Right.
I'm finding this not to be uncommon among the model builders. A lot of the model guys seem to do artwork as something I was not aware of. I'd like to mention that Bobe's Hobby House also stocks art supplies. It was good to see you go around to the different areas and take a look at those things. Okay, Bob, we're going to take a short break, and folks, we'll be back in just a few minutes. We've got more details to talk to you about. Be right back.
It's the Saints Real Estate Show.
Okay, we're back, and we're going to talk about these plastic models again. These are contest-type models, and Bob, of course, is a recent national winner in the contest, and I'm delighted with that we got national-ranked people here in the neighborhood, but we're losing you. Of all the things, we just kind of pulled you in less than a week after the wedding, and you're packing out to go out to the West Coast. But we're trying to make the most of it here. The tank we were just showing a moment ago, it's an Israeli
tank.
Okay, Stan wanted us to be sure and mention that is under construction, but that's not the finish. Those line-sweeping things on the front are not normally white.
No, it's right at the point where I'm going to get ready to paint it. I'll prime it first, then put the paint on it. That's why the treads aren't on it right now.
And the nuts and bolts were showing up really well. But I don't know, are you not a tank fan particularly, or is that something new? I know you've done airplanes in the past.
I've been doing more armor lately.
Okay.
And I've also been painting figures, and like this science fiction diorama here, just getting away from aircraft for a while because they take so long, especially if I want to put a lot of detail into them.
I remember the model you entered at the national contest up in Dayton was an AC-130 gunship that you feel really close to.
Yeah.
That's what you do for a living.
It was good to do it, and as far as reference goes, I mean, I had the real one. Anytime I had a question, I could just walk out there and look at it.
Well, this is something that I've found a lot of the pilots, and God knows this neighborhood is full of pilots. When you ask them about a particular airplane that they fly or have flown, what color is it behind the seat, for example, and they'll think about it for a second, and a lot of times they don't know what color it is, or if you ask about an insignia, they may or may not recall that. I remember one time I have an uncle that flew PBYs. In fact, was flying PBYs out of Corey Station as Air Sea Rescue. And Uncle Bob, I was asking him about how the top was painted. He says, I don't know, I've never seen the top. So he went out with the model in hand and he marked off where the yellow stripes were and the lettering that was on the top, and we each made a model of that. But it's fun to make specific models. You have that ejection seat that I mentioned a moment ago. Yeah, that's the airplane seat out of the pile, or out of the, what kind of an airplane is that?
That's out of an F-18. It's another one of my big aircraft projects I got going.
Okay.
Both the seat and the gun and the other parts that you see there on the
we've
table.
got the seat on the screen here. Tell us about that.
All right. What I got it mounted to a base right now just to keep it from getting broke, plus to display it until I decide to put it in the aircraft. It's out of the kit, but there has been quite a few things added. The seat cushions are epoxy putty, and the straps.
What kind of things do you add to a model like that?
Normally I'll get as many photographs as I can of the real thing, and just turn it around here, and you can see the front. The cushions are epoxy putty, the straps are aluminum foil, and you just add little bits and pieces, meaning small pieces of plastic that you can get.
Aluminum foil.
Right. This is a thick aluminum foil.
Okay, heavy duty, right?
Right.
Well, that's, I had always presumed that when you're talking about model kinds of things, that it was all plastic, but it's interesting to find that that's not necessarily the case.
Yeah, it depends on, whenever you're building something, how detailed you want to get with it.
Pieces of wire.
You've got pieces of wire. I use a lot of small copper wire. Like I said, the evergreen strips, they come in various sizes. And different widths, and you just look and cut little pieces off and stick them on. I know it's hard to explain because through trial and error, you sort of find out those things.
Okay, what have we got here?
Here we got the nose gun to the F-18, and they don't make a kit of this, so basically what I've taken is the 20mm gun out of an F-16 model, and the drum right here, this part on the bottom that came out of an F-16 that holds the ammo, and the mount for the gun is made again out of the evergreen and plastic, and through all the photographs.
Okay, and that makes a very detailed, in fact, both of those are nice display models just as they stand. Again, do I see wires and maybe aluminum foil? Aluminum foil is kind of new to me. I wasn't aware.
Well, if we can turn it around here, I can show you some of the braided cable that come on it.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we're working fits here, and we'll be all right.
Okay. Because some of the parts that I have put on it also come from the automotive.
Here we are.
If we can turn this around, you can see the braided cable right there. That comes from for model cars, for the hoses under the engine and stuff. The chute that you see right here that holds the ammo, that's a Verlinden product. It's a company out of Belgium.
Right.
A guy that makes makes everything, I guess you would say, now for models.
A lot of detailed parts. Let me pick up the phone here a second. Hi, you're on Bobe's Hobby House.
Hi, Mr. Bobe. How you doing?
Doing good.
Hey, I like your models. I got two questions for you.
Okay.
A couple of buddies of mine are into NASCAR model building. Hey, we use the tester's paint. When we go to glue after the tester's paint's dried, it seems to start melting away, as the plastics fuse. What kind of glue is better to use than testers? and what kind of paint on plastic, you know, to adhere to the...
Okay, we'll bring that back to you here in just a second. Thank you. What kind of glue and what kind of paint? It sounds to me like you might be painting the model and then gluing it together. Is that, would you recommend that?
Not really. If you can, normally what I do is put as much of the model together that you can and then paint it. But then again, with car models, like in the engine and the interior, so many parts are different colors as opposed to a tank or an aircraft. The glue that I use is Weld-On 3. It's an acrylic cement, and it's like water. And you put it on with a small brush, and whenever you put it onto the plastic, it just beads down like water would. And it's a lot thinner than the tester's glue. As far as paint, I do use testers myself, and poly-S. So.
Okay, so the paint isn't nearly as critical. The glue, I've heard of talk about different kinds of glue. One of the guys used Elmer's glue to put windshields on or something like that because it dries clear and doesn't attack the plastic. There may be some other places where that could be used, and had epoxy. Let me pick up the phone again. Hi, you're on Bobe's Hobby House.
Yeah, I was interested in y'all's trains y'all got out there.
Right.
What do you do? You have to put them together and stuff? And
That's the hobby part. They come as kits and you build them.
you just build them right there?
That's what the customer would do is build their own models.
Pretty expensive, I mean.
It'll vary depending on, to get a train set started, you'll probably be looking at $85 to $100.
$100?
And that's good quality stuff.
Is that right?
Right.
$100, I can make a town and all that? I mean,
That'll get you started, just barely started.
yeah, and most of you put it on a plywood table or more or less? Or?
It tends to grow.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for calling.
I bet.
Okay, one more call here. This is Bobe's Hobby House.
Oh, yeah. I was wondering, like, can y'all, like, order models?
You bet.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. One of the problems we've had with that ordering models is sometimes if the model isn't in print, that's easy. Okay, let me pick up the phone. Hi, you're on Bobe's Hobby House.
I just want to know if you use relief washes, and if so, what do you make them out of?
Washes?
Relief washes? It, like, shadows the model?
Okay, we'll pass that right back. Do you use washes on your models?
As far as bringing, what I'll do is I'll take a diluted oil paint like burnt sienna and make it just like water, and then I'll take a brush and put it in all the cracks and crevices of the tank or aircraft or whatever I'm using with these figures. I'll just put it in the joints, and what it does is it does make it look like shadows, and whenever you do the dry brushing technique, it highlights the higher areas and darkens up the inner areas where the wash is at, and does make it look like a shadow.
Great. Bob, I really appreciate you bringing it out. Congratulations again on the national win, and congratulations on the marriage.
All right, thanks.
I'd like to remind everybody that at Bobe's Hobby House we do have a good selection of models, plastic models, radio control, and model railroad, which we mentioned. But in the other departments, we have the art department. For a lot of those people that are going back to school doing artwork, we can cover that. And in the craft department, we have a lot of crafts for the holiday decorations that a lot of people are making. If you have any questions about any kind of hobbies, give us a call at Bobe's Hobby House. We got folks that know about that kind of thing, and we'll be back in 2 weeks with another exciting venture at Bobe's Hobby House.